What is up? I'm just trying to get my stream set up. Yeah, I wanted to just do a little bit of a T3 stack live stream this time. Get it deployed to Railway, get a database set up, get a link that you all can play with. And I figured doing like a poll application would be a cool thing to try to do on a stream. So let me go to my GitHub real quick. I made a new repo. I'm gonna go ahead and clone this repo to my workspace. And go ahead and open that up. All right, so create T3 app. Let's just do this real quick. I think Theo also did like a poll site at one point, like almost a year ago. But I like to just stick with npm, honestly, but you can use yarn or pnpm. It doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this set up. And what is my zoom at? Make sure this is all. There's like so much overhead that you have to do when you start set up a stream. Make sure you're zoomed in enough. Make sure you got your chat open. But I don't think we're gonna use WebSockets personally, honestly. Like I think we're just, I mean, I guess we could try to figure out how to do WebSockets. Depends on how much time I have. So I got the app here. Let's just go ahead and run this in this directory and see what happens. TypeScript. I'm gonna try using Google sign in as well. Let's just go ahead and say yes to everything. Continuation and overwrite conflicting file. Sure. Hopefully that doesn't mess up my Git repo. Someone asked, what is T3 stack? It's just basically Next.js with Tailwind for the styling, or Prisma for the ORM that connects to the database, and TypeScript. Vas Yakwi says, just wanted to say thanks for the hard work. You've helped so much. I'm glad to hear that. Let me do some real quick. Okay, so while this is downloading the entire internet of npm node modules, hopefully this doesn't take too long. Oh yeah, with TRPC, I forgot to mention that. That's one of the new things. Which VS Code theme am I using? I'm using the bearded theme stained blue. Do I use T3 when building your sites? For my personal projects, I use it. I don't use this on my actual like work project. Not interested in using VS Codium right now, personally. I'd rather use something that an actual company is like building, because you know they have the capacity to fix bugs when there's a large legit company funding the open source project. That's just my opinion. All right, so I have this thing set up real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and just commit everything. And let's see if this works. Cool. So refresh this page, make sure we got the app going. Can we run the app? So I've set up a T3 stack app. Can I npm run this? Let's try it out. Now right now, I think it's using SQLite. We might have to figure out a way to like get Postgres running locally. Looks good. I'm just gonna make like a poll site so I can put a poll and you guys can like respond. I haven't used Pusher, or I don't know if you guys know of any other like free WebSocket services, but I might try that out just to learn something new. Okay, so right now we got the app running. We got the UI here. It should all be set up. Now what I want to do is, can I get this deployed somewhere? I like to get the deployment stuff all set up before I start diving into the project. So I'm going to go to Railway and just start a new project here. I'll say deploy from GitHub. My account is unverified. Okay, well, that's fine. I don't want to verify right now. Hopefully it doesn't make me. All right, I'm going to make a new project. Unfortunately, you can't verify. Oh, come on. Your GitHub can't be verified. Your GitHub might be too new, or there might be a risk your repos on your account. That means you can't verify with GitHub. So I have to put in my credit card, huh? Well, I could deploy this somewhere else, I guess. That sucks. How do I use the T3 stack to get a girlfriend? That's a good question. When you figure it out, let me know. I'm married, so it's not my issue. I don't have that issue. Okay, let's just build it out, I guess. We won't worry about deploying it yet. Do I really want to enter my credit card to verify something so I can actually deploy to Railway? All right, so let's go ahead and let's see if I can get like an example Docker file. Docker compose with Postgres. I believe I have one already, so I could just go to my other repo. And this might have a Docker compose file, so I can get Postgres running locally. For some reason, I'm using Microsoft SQL Server there. That's weird. What other projects do I have that might be using this? I'm trying to think if I built anything. I can't even remember what I built. Probably the online classroom. Let's see that. Does this have a Docker compose in it? It does. Postgres. Okay, so let's just grab this one. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new Docker compose file. Docker compose YAML. Paste that in there. And the reason I'm doing this is so I can actually run Postgres locally and not have to worry about any other additional setup. So I'm going to say Docker compose up. That should pull the Postgres image and get my Postgres server running. And while that's running, there's some things I probably need to update in the TRPC, or maybe it's the Prisma schema. I think here I'd have to update this to be something else. Or not the provider. I probably have to change the Postgres SQL. And then there's a little to do that says change everything to DB text. Or uncomment these things. So let's just uncomment these. All right, is this going to work? Database URL. So I need to get a real database URL. I don't think I know that off the top of my head. So let's just go to env sample. I'm assuming I have one already. So the good thing about like building a bunch of side projects is that you have a bunch of reference code you can just pull in at any point. You don't have to go to docs. You don't have to like go and ask ChatGPT how to do stuff. Like you have the code already. You just need to know how to go find it real quick. So I think at this point, like we have a Postgres database running in a Docker container. And I don't know if I need to restart my next app to have it reload the .env. It seems like it refreshes when you save your .env file, so I'm not sure. But can we actually persist something to the database? That's the question. I think what I'm going to need to do is run a Prisma migrate to verify, like, can my stuff set up my tables in my Prisma or my Postgres database, and it looks like it all ran fine. So npx Prisma Studio, let's make sure that if I load up Prisma Studio, I have access to my data models and tables. Looks like I do. And if I go to example, can I actually like create stuff? Oops. Okay. So the idea is I want to like allow people to log in and create an account and set, like, basically vote on a poll. And I think in order to get a poll set up, I need to have like a question set up maybe. So let's start with like the schema model. So in Prisma, you can set up a model that basically creates like a table for you. I'm gonna go ahead and say like, I'll just name it poll. And we probably want to also add a model for like questions. The ID in question could be a required string. It's been a while since I used Prisma, so I'm trying to remember like how this thing works. All right, so we want to basically, I want to write a question, and people can answer to that question. So, not a question. I want to make a poll, and people can come in and answer on that poll. How do I set up a relationship model here? I think I can say questions, and that could be a question array. So now I've linked the poll to the question model here. Probably need to add IDs here. Let's do that. Probably need to do the same thing over here. So like the question maps to a poll, and we will say ID references ID cascade. Do I have Prisma set up? I do. Sorry, I've been skipping chat. What stack do you suggest for beginners? I think MERN stack is fine. Or anything with Postgres is fine too. I mean, I think if you learn SQL from the get-go, it'll put you in a better position because a lot of companies use Postgres. Not as many companies use Mongo, to be honest. But MERN is easier to learn, I think, because you don't have to go and learn another like SQL language for doing inserts and queries and stuff. Oh, I use Docker Compose in my StarCraft 2 project. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Let's see what technologies I'm using. The T3 stack, so that's Tailwind, Next, TRPC, TypeScript, Prisma, Postgres. You can use PlanetScale or CockroachDB. Yeah, maybe I'll go sign up for those and see what's up. Just finished up a little API and Golang for study purposes. Now I'm going to chill in your stream. Well, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy the stream. What VS Code's theme am I using? I'm using the bearded theme stained blue. Shortcut on Prisma. Just do question and right click and do format Prisma and it will automatically add the relationship for you. Really? Wait, why am I calling this question? These should be like answers. I'm not thinking very clearly. Okay, so you're saying I can right click on this. I don't know if my Prisma thing is set up right. Just do question that and right click and do format Prisma. Will auto DB the relationship. Okay, right click. Format document, I guess. Oh, there we go. Cool. And then it pulls in all that stuff. Yeah, I remember having that set up before. I guess I'm on a new VS Code instance, so I kind of lost that configuration for Prisma. But now we have a poll, and a poll can have different answers on it. That's pretty cool. Sorry, I'm just reading through the comments. Yeah, so I mean, I guess the thing is like, can we create a poll and then add answers to it? And I guess the question is like, that's something that I would have to create, right? So like I would have to add some type of views for doing that. Okay. I'm trying to think about what I'm trying to do here. You know, for right now, like if you wanted to keep it as simple as possible, I could just use Prisma Studio to set up the questions and answers for right now, so I don't have to add like an admin panel. And then the users could just fetch a poll. Okay, so let's just try doing that. Let's go to Prisma Studio real quick. And let's go and refresh. Oh, I probably need to actually like rerun Prisma Migrate. What is this one? I'll do npx Prisma Migrate again. Adding answer. Go ahead and relaunch Prisma Studio. Refresh this page. All right, so now we have a poll and we have answers. So let's make a poll. And how do I add? I'm going to add a record here. And the prompt will be like, do you like using Next.js? Okay, save that. Let's go ahead and add some answers. I don't think I need to add an ID here. I think it should auto-generate. So well, what I noticed is I didn't even add like some text. So let's go back to our Prisma schema. And we are going to add some text, or I'll just go ahead and call it. Should I call it answer or just text? Answer.answer. I'll just call it text, whatever. So some required text here. Poll ID is a string, maps to a poll. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to rerun Prisma Migrate. I think you can also do Prisma Push if you don't like doing the migrate stuff, which kind of bypasses creating the migration records, I believe. But it's whatever. Adding text to answer. Let's just go ahead and make another migration script. I can also just go through and delete all these before I decide to like push the prod, so I can have just like a single like initial migration, and then you can just start from there. And then if you're using like Planet Scale, I think you're supposed to not use Prisma Migrate, instead use like Prisma Push or something, because they take care of like doing the diffs between their databases. Anyway, let's refresh this real quick. So let's go here. I'm gonna try to add some answers. We're gonna add a yes. Search poll ID. How do I get the poll ID? I mean, I guess I could just do this. Why does it say search poll ID? Like, how do I make the search pop up? I don't know. Let's see if this will actually... Can you not add it from here? Okay. How about we... I don't know how... I don't know what I'm doing. That's what the truth is. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's just zoom into here. I'm going to go ahead and click on poll. I'm going to click on this one. There we go. And then I'll say yes. I'm going to add another one. I will click on this. I will say no. Okay, so now we have a question or a poll that has 2 answers you could potentially select. And can we get that stuff displayed on a page? So that's kind of like what we're going to focus on right now, which is kind of going to creating a router and creating the UI for doing that. Okay, so let's go to the routers here. And what is this stuff? This is not what I want. I want root. And we're going to make a new router. Or I could just rename example router. I'm going to call this like, you know, I'll just copy and paste this one, whatever. I'll just call this poll.ts. And we're going to go ahead and make sure we import that. We can remove example in a bit. Like that. Go ahead and make sure I rename this to poll router. Make sure I auto import this. Looks good. And then here, what do we want to do here? I'm going to delete some of these. Like that, like this. And I want to say get poll. And we want to basically fetch the poll and all the answers that you could potentially select for that poll. So this is going to be a public procedure because anyone who hits the URL for our application could potentially view the poll. I think actually answering the questions, you might have to require some type of Google auth, so I might add that in. Otherwise, you have to like keep track of the IPs, which just seems like extra work. Or you could just trust your users that they won't vote multiple times and just refresh the page multiple times. But probably just requiring some type of auth might work best. I'm not sure. You guys can leave it. Maybe we won't worry about Google auth yet. We'll just give a URL, you guys can vote, and if people refresh the page over and over again and keep voting, then like whatever. Okay, so what we're trying to do is like getting the poll. So we want to be able to fetch the poll by an ID. So we can do context Prisma poll dot find unique. Probably find unique, right? Yeah, let's do find unique. And we want to say where ID is equal to something, right? Well, we don't know what ID we need, right? So we should probably, on the router itself, we could say input, and I believe you can just say Zod. Okay, Zod dot, what is it? Body? Object? I'm trying to go off of memory right here. I really need to buy Copilot, to be honest. And this thing would require a poll ID, which would be a Zod string that's required. Okay, so now when you set up this input thing on your router, you can access it here, and I could do that. Let's see, find unique. What is this complaining of? Unsafe return of any type. So one thing I noticed with the TRPC thing, like the ESLint, sometimes I have to constantly restart it because it gets confused, but I could potentially actually have a real like ESLint error. But yeah, I don't know. I just have to keep on restarting ESLint. It's kind of annoying. I don't know what the fix for that is, other than just like disabling that rule. But it does a very bad job at like refreshing the file when I get errors. So let's make sure this works. So I'm gonna try to go to the front end and I'll check. I haven't really been looking at the comments much. I've been neglecting you all, but I'll go back. I'll check you guys in a second. Let me zoom out real quick. Am I lagging, by the way? I got a warning. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Oh well, if I'm choppy, sorry. So now we have the ability. Okay, 3 people said no lag. 1 person says yes, it's freezing, and then they said nope, sorry, nope. So I'm gonna assume it's good. So what we need to do is on the front end, let's just go to the index here. And I'm gonna delete all this stuff. Okay, maybe not all this stuff. What is this? Auth showcase. It's secret message. I don't think we want that. I'll probably regret deleting that in a bit, but let's just go ahead and keep this as simple as possible. And what I want to do is when you actually try to go to a poll, how about I do this? I'm going to add an endpoint. I'm going to add a folder called polls, and that's going to have a file called poll ID ESX, so that we can actually like know what poll people are trying to vote on. The UI should have nothing on it right now, but this thing, what do we want to do here? We want to answer a poll. we want to use that new endpoint that we just created and fetch the information for a poll. So I'm going to say API, which I think is in the wrong directory now. So I'm going to go up one level and I will do poll dot get poll dot use query. And I think we need to pass it a poll ID. So I'm going to say poll ID. And we don't have the poll ID. So we need to actually get that from the router. Okay, because in Next.js, if you put stuff in these brackets, you have access to get them. So I'm going to say const router is equal to use router. Import that. I also want to rename home to poll page. Like that. And we want to basically say const poll ID is equal to router dot query dot poll ID. I'm going to say as string. By the way, I don't know if you have to do this. I know in TypeScript, like it's going to complain if I don't do that because this could potentially be like an array of strings for some reason, or it could be undefined. I'm just going to say as string, probably not the proper way to do it. You should probably have like an actual if statement. But what I've done in the past is like on the use query, I'll say enabled, and then I'll just say poll ID. Make sure like this thing is defined, or else like I don't want it to run the query. And we could just go ahead and say poll response. And let's just see if we can like console log this somewhere. I'm just gonna go ahead and console log it and see like, does this print out to our console? Okay, so now let's just test this. Let's test this out. Let's go and find what the poll ID is. So if I click on this, that should give us the poll ID. Although unfortunately it has dot dot dot. So how do I get to the real thing? A new tab, maybe that's what I need. Okay, cool. So I can highlight this. Yeah, I mean, I could deploy the app to AWS Amplify and just like kind of click through the UI. It's really easy to do, especially since I'm going to have to verify Railway to be able to get that set up. But as far as a database, I could try struggling if I have time to set up a database somewhere. I could try PlanetScale, or I could try CockroachDB, I guess. The theme is bearded theme stained blue. Okay, so we have the poll ID here, and the idea is I can go here /poll /the ID, and we should see it make a request and get some data back. Sure is doing a lot of requests. How many requests is this thing doing? Go here. I guess it's just doing one, but it's like console logging a lot due to like various debug things. Anyway, let's just click this. We have the data. What does the data look like? It has ID, it has a prompt, but we don't have the answers. So I mean, let's just first of all, let's render out the prompt to the page. So I will just say data question equals prompt. And instead of data, I'll say poll response. How about that? Now, I kind of don't like this stuff living in my HTML like JSX. I kind of like it being up here. So like I could say poll and then get the poll response dot data. Just so that like I don't have to like keep doing weird stuff like that. I could potentially have like another thing here that's like poll response dot is loading. And if we are loading, we will display one component, and if we're not loading, we'll display a different component, but not the head component. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that, and I'll put loading dot dot dot. Now I still don't like how I have to have a question mark here. It'd be nice if I didn't have to do that. I could potentially have it like return. You know, I'm getting caught up on stuff that doesn't really matter. Let's just do that. Whatever. So does it display the poll data? It does. Do you like using Next.js? Now let's just give the text white on this page. What's up, Abudi? Welcome to the stream. Okay, so does that make sense? I know I kind of like jumped around, but like we created some Prisma models where we can create polls and answers. I ran a migration to set that up in my local Postgres database. I set up my .env file to point to that local Postgres database. That's all running in a local Docker file, or sorry, in a Docker container that's using Docker Compose. It set up the Postgres database. And then I modified the Prisma schema to use Postgres. And then we basically created a model for the poll, a model for the answer, and basically linked them together. All right, we have a poll, we have an answer. A poll is made up of multiple answers, and an answer can have some text. And we went into Prisma Studio and we set up some data, and then we created an endpoint on our router to fetch polls based on ID. We're using NextRouter to get the poll ID that's in the URL here. Using that, we do a query to get the poll data, and then we display it to the page. So we did quite a bit. Looks pretty good. But now what I want to do, I think technically like I don't need the double thing here. Oh, maybe I do. What do we... Yeah, this is like the same Docker Compose, like grab and paste from everywhere. I think you might have actually helped me with this at one point. How can we use the network tab to see how many times call has been made in what instance? You just right click and say inspect, and then you go to network. And then you just look and make sure you have fetch XHR clicked, because that's what's actually doing like the fetch requests. And then it does one, right? It's just doing one request to the backend. Does that answer your question? All right, so now we want to display the answers. How do we display the answers out? Well, first of all, we're not returning that from the backend, so we got to go to our routers and we got to include some stuff. So in Prisma, you can say include, I believe. And I'm going to say answers. I think it's just true. So now if I were to refresh the page, actually, I don't need to refresh anything. I'm using TypeScript, and TypeScript will tell me if what I'm doing is correct or not. So if I wanted to loop over the answers, we could potentially do that here. So we got the prompt. Let's make this an H1 so it's like more proper. And I'm going to give this a class name of text for Excel. And then we're going to put an unordered list, and we're going to put buttons because we want, well, I guess we could do radio buttons, couldn't we? I need to go Google that. I don't do radio buttons that much. I know it's just like inputs, type radio. It might be a little bit different. Yeah, let's just do this. We're going to loop over. We'll probably add a form. And then inside of here, we are going to loop over the poll. And then for the answers we get back, I'm going to map over those. And we're going to try to render out an input type radio. This, go ahead and save that so I get some formatting. The key should probably be the answer.id because every answer has a unique ID on it. The value should be the answer dot, probably the ID. Now we should probably add a label here. So let's just go ahead and add a label. And then we are going to have to wrap this in a fragment. Or we could do a field set. Don't need a break there. Okay, so this would be HTML4, and then I need to give an ID to this. So I'm going to say input just say answer.id. There we go. Format that. Makes it look nice. What is this complaining about now? I don't have a key. I need to add the key to the field set now. Okay. And this one needs to say answer dot text. And this should say like that. I don't like copying and pasting this 2 places, so I might actually convert this to an actual function here. And then I'm going to say input ID is equal to this. And then what we could do is use that input ID in those 2 places. And then I'm going to delete this and return the field set. Okay. So what is this displaying on the page? Let's look. Okay. Kind of close. I only want you to be able to select one. So now what I need to do is I don't think the value might be proper. I need to refresh my memory on React radio inputs. I think they need to all reference like the same state up here. So like I could make a new state variable called like selected answer and set selected answer. Can I use Prisma on production? Yeah, you should be able to use Prisma on production. I'm sure a lot of other people are. All right, so by default, I'm going to set this to undefined. And then when you change the input, I think it's just on change, we can basically get the event. And I could say set selected is z.target.value. Okay. Maybe it's just target. I'll probably have to go look this up. But anyway, so this could be, I think it's instead of value, it's actually checked. And then you want to say it's checked if the selected answer is equal to the answer.id that this input represents. And this one could probably actually be answer.id. So when you select this radio button, it's going to set that in state as this argument of oh, I don't think I typed this. This needs to be string or undefined, maybe. Is that why it's complaining? I'm not using E. I don't need E there. Cool. So let's go back to the page. There we go. So we probably want to add like a submit to the form itself. So I'm going to go ahead to go to the form. I'll add a button. I'm going to say submit. And we'll say on submit handle full submit. How about that? We'll make a function up here. And we're going to say e.react.form event. And I think it's like HTML form element. Is that how you do it? E.prevent default. Okay. Got a submit button. So on the form itself, I just want to add a gap between this. So like on the form, I'm going to add a class name. And I'm going to say flex column, gap of 8. That's too much. I think I'm also zoomed in a lot, so it just looks weird. And probably on the title itself, let's just give this a margin bottom of 4. Some people say margin you shouldn't be using. Like instead, I could make this into a section. I could give this a flex column and a gap of 4 as well, instead of saying like margin bottom on the H1. What's this complaining about? I think it looks better left aligned. Maybe. No, I don't think you need type submit on the button. I think by default, HTML was going to make it a submit if you don't provide it. If you don't want the button to submit, you have to add type button, and that'll prevent it from submitting the form, I believe. Like if I go and add a console log here and it says like submit. Since I added type button here, I don't think this will actually submit anymore. Yeah, it doesn't submit. But if you remove that, I believe the type is going to be a submit by default, and now it's going to call submit. But I mean, if you want to be explicit, it doesn't hurt to add type submit. Like it's fine. It's just one of those default things that happens. So we have the ability to select answers, and we're keeping track of that in state. So now when you, I guess first of all, you shouldn't be able to submit unless you've selected an answer, right? So let's add some validation, and let's also make this button look nicer because the button does not look like a button. So I could give this like a background color of blue, 400. I could say when you hover over it, it's 500. The text could be white. Padding the X could be 3. Padding Y could be 2. Let's see how this looks. There we go. We got a little button. We can click on it. I probably want to add some space between the radio and the label itself. So on the field set, I'm going to give this, again, flex gap of 2. That should push it out. Looks pretty nice. What am I trying to do again? Oh yeah, if you cannot, we don't want the user to be able to submit this unless they've selected something. So let's go up here, and I'm going to go ahead and just say if selected answer is not defined, return. Like we don't want to have it submit if you haven't selected anything. So now if I click yes and click submit, it says submitted. So let's actually like allow the user to submit a response to the backend. We should track that. So we don't have like a data model to persist that information, right? So what we'd have to do is go back to schema. You know what? We have a lot of file changes. We have 11 file changes, and I might actually not. Yeah, let's just commit. Let's just commit real quick. I'm going to say adding the ability to view a poll. Is there anything? I don't have any secret values anywhere yet, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and submit everything. Let's just add all. Go ahead and commit this and push it. Yeah, excellent suggestion. You could just disable the button as well if they haven't selected an answer. So let's add that. Disabled is, oh, not on the input. Let's do it here. Okay, so now like you shouldn't, if I refresh the page, this should be disabled, and it's kind of weird because it still has like interactivity. So I might actually, inside of this, I'll say disabled. I don't know how to say hover none. Is there a way to do that? Like just disable the hover, but I guess I could just set the color to match what the normal is. So like now there's no hover stuff. Not committing in imperative tense. I have no idea what that means. We should also say like if you are not disabled, we'll say cursor is pointer. Actually, it looks like it's disabled by default. Hold on, let's check this out. Yeah, I mean, there's no cursor. I could also, yeah, I could make it gray. I could say disabled, DG gray of 400 or something. Maybe like 700. And then also get rid of the hover effect when it's disabled. Hide button is disabled. In terms of UX, from what I've understood, hiding things from the user is bad UX. And like, you rather just disable it and have it displayed on the page. Some people even say disabling button is bad UX. Like instead, you should show an alert when they try to click it that says you must select something. I don't know how true that is. I'm not a UX expert, but array of 400 probably. Actually, I think I'll call it 700. I mean, this is not the best styling of the page, but this works. Use of adding instead of add is not using imperative. I mean, I don't think it really matters what your commit message is. Like, you need to follow some type of proper grammar. I mean, if that's what you want to do on your project, that's cool. But I think you just need to write a message that makes sense for other developers to understand. Like, if you really think saying the word adding versus add is going to completely make the quality of your software project bad, that's cool if you want to think that. What are we trying to do here? So when you submit, we want to keep track of what the user did. Okay, so let's go to schema. And we want to keep track of the response. So I don't know, I guess I'll call it response. Again, we'll keep track of like an ID here. And we want to basically track what answer did the user select. So I'm going to go ahead and say answer ID could be an optional string. Actually, I don't know if these things need to be optional. They should probably be required, right? I don't know. But this is going to be pointing to an answer. Hold on a second. Poll answer. This thing has a response. Let's do that. That'll automatically add the mapping. Answer ID. Answer. Does that seem correct? Oh yeah, definitely. Shub Itzi. I can't pronounce her name. Yeah, I wasn't like. I appreciate you breaking down what it means because I didn't know what that meant. I didn't do well in English, so when the word what was the word? Oh, imperative tense. I guarantee you, I probably failed some high school classes when I learned that that lesson. So when you submit the response, let's go here. Let's just go this. I think we actually need to. We have the answer ID here, and when you submit the response, we need to keep track of that. We don't have a TRPC router endpoint to basically track that, right? So let's go back to poll, and let's just add a mutation here. So I could say like submit response, public procedure, and this needs to take some things. This needs to be a mutation, and this thing needs to be a, I guess it just needs to be an answer ID, right? Bro, I was watching your previous T3 stack vid and I clicked the live icon by mistake. Oh well, welcome to the live stream of some more T3 stuff. Oops, hold on. I'm just I'm on my other monitor too. I got my other like monitor for chat so I can like read chat as people are messaging me and stuff. And I just maximized it so it messed everything up. So yeah, okay, the user from the front end, when you click on an answer and submit, you want to send over the answer ID that the user selected, and we want to track that somewhere. At this point, we have, I don't think we ran migration for that new stuff we just did. Let's add that in. Enter a name for the new migration. That is going to be adding response model. And let's go back to here. Now we should actually have some Prisma stuff, hopefully. Prisma dot response dot. Yo, why is my computer so slow to give me some autocorrect? I want to create a response, and I think I can give it some data. Let me minimize this thing a little bit. And we want to track the answer ID, which is probably going to be coming from input, which I have set up. And I'm going to go ahead, save that. Unsafe member access create on any value. So again, let's just restart ESLint because this is an error I see all the time that just never goes away unless you restart the ESLint server. Probably want to return it. Okay. So now let's test this out. Let's load up Prisma Studio. And I want to see if from the front end, if I submit this, does it actually persist to my database? So I'm going to say no. I'll click submit. Now the UI, we haven't coded anything to do anything. I didn't get any errors that I can tell. Oh, we didn't code this. Okay, let's go back to the UI because we didn't even code anything to submit the response. So let's go here and we need to pull in the mutation. So I'll say response, maybe submit response or something, equals API.response. Why is it not popping up? Oh, it's called poll. I'm sorry. Submit response, use mutation, and we want to pass in the answer ID, and we want the selected answer. This could potentially be undefined. Oh, wait, what am I doing? This is not, I don't need to pass that there. This needs to happen here. So I need to say dot mutate. I like using mutate async so I know when it finished and then I can like wait on it. But let's just go ahead and say like answer ID selected answer. This thing is probably complaining because I don't have a catch. I'll just add one to make it happy real quick. Console.error. Okay. And one thing I don't like about the name selected answer is I kind of rather this be called selected answer ID and this be called set selected answer ID. So I know it's storing like the actual ID and not the answer object. I mean, although it does say string as a type, it's kind of, it's more obvious to me if it says ID at the end. Okay, so now the ultimate test is, can we go back and can we submit this thing? Let's go ahead and click submit. It does a post request and the backend crashed. So let's figure out why did the backend crash. Failed on poll.submit response, cannot read the property of undefined reading create. So I think I've seen this happen and you have to like restart your next server because like when you do a new Prisma migrate, it like doesn't catch, like Prisma has to like rerun its stuff to regenerate your TypeScript files and types and stuff. I could be wrong. There could be a different issue. But I'm going to do that just in case that is the issue. And that worked fine. So now it's working. So the idea is like when you submit the response, can I go and view the poll? Oh, I got to reload this. Hold on. The poll has 2 answers on it. And those answers has 1 response. There's a response here for this one. I don't really know how to use this Prisma UI, honestly. But let's just go to response. Where is response? Here it is. Okay, so that should be the response we did. If I do this like a couple times, no, 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 and then a yes, we should now have like 5 or 6 of these. Okay, so we are persisting the answered IDs. Pretty cool. Let me go to chat real quick. I haven't looked at this in a while. Suit says, would you recommend T3 for a full track? I guess you meant full stack peer-to-peer marketplace with crypto escrow. Sure. So I never built a crypto escrow before. So first of all, I don't know what that even means. Secondly, I wouldn't even know if the T3 stack would be good enough. Honestly, I think it would. It doesn't matter like what you pick as far as your stack. I think what matters more is if your code is set up in a way that allows you to easily refactor in the future if you need to. I don't think there'll be an issue using MySQL or SQL or Postgres or whatever. I think that's more of an important question is what type of database you need to use and what does your data look like? If you can answer that question, then you can pick what database you need. The rest is just like implementation details between the communication of the front end and the back end. So I don't think there would be an issue with using the T3 stack. But I haven't used T3 in production, so I don't know. But I know a lot of people use Next in production. They use Tailwind in production. They use TypeScript in production, so I don't think there'll be any issue using it. The difference between mutate async, and mutate. The difference is when you use mutate async, you can actually like treat it as a promise. So I can like do a dot then or a catch, or I can do async await here. If you don't use mutate async, you can't do that. So you'd actually have to go up here and you'd have to say, actually, I think you'd have to do this. You'd have to call mutate, and then you'd have to call it like an on success callback and do some logic in this. I personally don't like that approach because of preferences, I guess. I rather just do a normal promise chain with async await or a try catch if I wanted to. But that's the main difference. Like, it's just whether would you rather do a try catch or would you rather put like callback functions inside the option. Yeah, so we have the ability to submit. Yarvan says, I love your content. Thank you for watching, and thanks for the comment there. Appreciate it. What's Z object? So that's a Zod object. So we're using Zod for validation. If I go to the actual like the router here, all the stuff that comes over the wire we validate. So like for example, when we do a mutate on submit response, we want to verify that they only send back an object that has a single property called answer ID, and that answer ID is a string. And you can do more validation here. Like I could say, okay, I want this thing to be an email, or you could make it some type of regex, I believe. So there's different validation rules you can set up. You can make this a number. And basically, if you try to hit the endpoint with bad data, the backend is going to throw an error so that the user in the front end and your UI in the front end can like show error alerts and stuff like that, saying that, hey, you're entering some bad data here. Like you need to fix this. So that's why you use validation. That's why we're using Zod. And Zod gives you nice like TypeScript autocomplete once you kind of set up your objects, which allows me to say input dot and get a bunch of IntelliSense of like, okay, what properties exist on this validated object. Anon says, loving the videos. I checked out the channel basically daily now. Any plans on more community collaborations coming up? I mean, I think it'd be fun to do some type of community collaborations. I just don't have time to like manage it or maintain it. So I mean, if someone wants to like create some type of community thing and be in charge of like managing it and making sure everyone's like engaged, like you can join my Discord and try to get something going. I just, from what I've seen with community projects, is that there's always a lot of hype the first day or two, and then after that, everyone just disappears. So I'm just not really interested in starting something up and then just having it die out in like 2 days. But if there's a bunch of like dedicated people who are like really willing to just contribute every week, I think it might be pretty cool. Is it possible to download my VS Code settings somewhere? I don't know. I don't know if that's even possible. I don't have it hosted anywhere, so I'm gonna say no. Yeah, so the TRPC thing is using React Query under the hood. So if you know React Query, you know how to use the client of TRPC basically. Would you recommend to learn Rust? I guess it depends. If you're trying to get a job coding in Rust, then yeah, you should probably learn it. But as a web developer, I would say no. Oh yeah, Nero answered the question. Yeah. Okay, I've been streaming for an hour now. Let's see if I can kind of close a circle. I was gonna try to add auth. I just don't know if I have time to. We'll see. A whole nother can of worms. Okay, so when I submit, I want to basically, I'm gonna add like a little hacky way to know if you've already answered it. I'm just gonna use local storage so that users can't continuously submit for the poll over and over again. Not the best approach, obviously, because someone could just go clear their local storage and just keep submitting responses. But again, this is just a little tutorial for fun and teaching. So what I would probably do is when this page loads, you could either redirect them to an answer, or like a responses page that shows bar graphs of like the results of all this, or you could just change out this whole component here with the results if they've already submitted results. So maybe we'll keep it one page to keep it simple. But let's make a Boolean that's like has answered equals true. And let's see if we can kind of do some logic based on that. And we are going to, basically the form has to go away completely. So now we're doing some ternaries inside of ternaries. I'm not a fan of it, but whatever. I can kind of abstract this away or extract some of these things out to like other components at the top if that makes it easier. But for those of you who've watched me, I like to hack stuff together and then I refactor later. So let's go ahead and just loop over the answers again. Now I'm trying to think. I mean, we could potentially, I don't think we'll have the responses, right? So I think in Prisma, we'll have to figure out how to do like a count. Maybe we can use some ChatGPT for this, but I don't know. So loop over the answers. Actually, let me take a step back. Let me go to poll.ts. I think if I do this, I wonder if there's a way to just count the aggregate of this. There's a lot of stuff I don't know how to do in Prisma. So let's do Prisma include responses count aggregate, maybe. Let's see if we can kind of read through the docs and understand how this works. Prisma user aggregate count or something. Count age true. Yeah, I don't know if I can do this in includes. Include count select. Ooh, this looks promising. Let's try that. So we're going to include count select responses true. This does, I don't think this is right. I think I need to move this up one. Include answers. Okay, so we have the poll, include the answers, include. This needs to be moved up, maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. Wait, hold on. Let's go. I think. Okay, I feel like it would have to be here, but then like this needs to be that. Is that not right? Definitely not right. Not assignable to Boolean. Okay. Count relations. The ability to count relations is available in version 3.0.1 and later. Let's first of all see what version I'm at. I'm at almost 4.9 for Prisma's client. Okay, so it should be available to me. This is saying find all the users, include all the posts true, and count them. So I want to find all the answers and include the responses count true. The count parameter can be used inside a top level include. My theme is bearded theme. Stained blue. Select, count, select. Return multiple relationship counts. Okay. You know what? Let's see if ChatGPT can help us with this. Probably not, since this is on such like a newer version of Prisma, but it's worth trying. Oh, yes, I'm a human. Okay, hold on. I've already signed up for this. Why is it asking me for all this information? I must have a different account. Really? So how do I write a Prisma query which selects, what am I trying to do again? I'm trying to get all the, which queries for all polls, which queries for a unique poll by poll ID selects all the answers associated with that poll and counts the number of responses on each answer. I don't think this is going to give us, there might not be a way to actually like do this in Prisma. We might have to like do some other magic. What language is this? Like, I didn't even put commas here. Oh, I actually have to count them on the back end? This seems stupid. Why can't you just do this on an include? Yeah, this response is probably going to be like so old. So I don't think ChatGPT is going to help us. Daria, what's up, man? Maybe you know. So while you're here, I'm not sure how long you're sticking around, but I have a data structure that I have a poll. Every poll has multiple answers. And then on each answer, we have a response model. right? So if I show you this, we got a poll has many answers. An answer has many responses. And every time a user selects an answer, it basically creates a response on that answer. All I'm trying to do is aggregate and count how many responses are on each answer. And I'm looking at their docs, and they say you can do it like this. Let me scroll up a little bit. They say you can do this, but they do say that it has to be a top level include. So that's kind of like where I'm thinking you can't do it here. Like if I were to have the answers IDs for every single one, I might be able to count that up. So include, I think, is going to include the nested children of like the parent. So I'm trying to get the poll by ID, and then I also want to include all the answers. But then I also am trying to include the count. Did I just figure it out by accident? I think I just figured it out by accident. This is not complaining, so I kind of think this might actually give us exactly what we need. Let's go back. Let's look at what we get back from the data. Answers, ID, count, responses for. Yeah, we just figured it out. Sometimes it's worth just playing around with the code and move stuff around until the red squigglies go away, and it's easier than going in. This is exactly what we want. Okay, so what I want to do is if you've already submitted, if you have answered, I want to loop over all the answers again. Like this. And we want to basically render out rectangle boxes or something for every answer. So I'm going to go ahead and just try to do that. I guess this could actually be an unordered list, and these could be list items. And for every answer, we could say answer. Oh, does it have a count on it? Count responses. Let's do that. I think that's what we want. We should probably also have like a label here. So I might need to put a label. You know, I'll just say this, answer.text. Is that what I called it? Answer.text, and I will say votes. Instead of calling it responses, I should probably have called it votes. I don't know why I didn't think about that until now. What's this complaining about? Void undefined is not assignable to React node. Oh, I didn't return. Look at this messy JSX. Don't you guys love it? All right, let's go back here. Votes 1, votes no. Cool. So let's go ahead and the one thing I didn't track is on local storage. Like, did you already vote for this thing or not? Because if I refresh the page, oh, I have it hard coded. So this has answered Boolean. Like, we're just gonna make it come from local storage, probably. Let's see if we can just get item, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just use the answer ID. So unfortunately, because Next.js is kind of weird and like the router may not have the poll ID set until a later time. Like, do I really have to use the effect for this? Let me see if I print out poll ID, what happens. I'm gonna go back and set this to true, and then we're gonna go ahead and just see the console. What happens here? Is it potentially undefined at some points? It is. Man, this is so, I hate how Next does that. Like, why would the router return you undefined or something that literally exists in the URL. That's such a pain, because now, like, in order for me to do something proper with this, I have to pull in an effect, I believe, and I have to listen for router.isReady. Just seems like a giant hack. And then this thing I have to go and say has answered, set has answered equals use state. I'm going to set it equal to false to begin with. And then this thing, I'm going to have to say if the local storage.get item poll ID, that thing exists in local storage, I'm just going to go ahead and say like you have answered. Like that. What's this thing complaining about? Accept a function. Okay, now it's okay. My computer's just slow. Let's see. It's missing a dependency poll ID. So I guess technically, like, okay, maybe that's better. Okay, and then we're also going to set it. So the moment you submit the response, we could potentially do a dot then if it was successful, and then we could just store it in local storage. Set item, poll ID, and we're going to say true here. Okay, the string of true, whatever. Takes like 2 seconds for my code to like save. I don't know why. Probably because I'm streaming. Anyway, let's double check what we're doing. So we get the poll ID from the router. Has answered, set has answered. We update that based on local storage, and then we actually store it in local storage when we answer. Let's see if this works. I'm going to click yes. And actually, when I click submit, I should probably also set as answered is equal to true or something. I don't know. Let's try this. So I should click yes, and it should show me the votes. But then when I refresh the page, it does not allow me to vote again until I go here and go to local storage, and then I have to go and delete that vote, and then I can revote. And then I also probably need to refetch the votes because as you notice, like you saw an old version of the votes. So what I could potentially do is refetch here. Oh, not this one. I could refetch the poll response. So after you've successfully submitted and you get a response back, I could say refetch here. Promise has to be awaited. I'll just return. Okay, let's try it again. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and delete that poll. Refresh. I'm gonna say yes. It should say 2 for a second, and then it should pop up the 3. Okay, there we go. Cool. I mean, I think it's good. I don't have like an admin dashboard for like creating the polls. I don't have time to do that today. I think it'd be cool to do. I can't get access to Railway because I have to give my credit card because my GitHub account that I made for my web dev Cody is too new or something, so they can't verify that it's not a bot. Do I want to get into PlanetScale? I'm sure it's pretty easy to get set up in PlanetScale. Let's just try it out. Or is Cockroach DP going to be easier? Password. Oh, you guys can see my password though. I'm gonna have to generate a different one. I'm gonna do this off my chat or off my screen. Yeah, you guys ever get like anxiety when you're trying to like learn a new thing and like you just kind of avoid doing it because you're like, oh, I have to learn something new. That's how I feel about PlanetScale right now, even though I have used it in the past. Oh, I can continue with GitHub. Let me do that. Let me pull this back down. I'm going to connect to my GitHub account. And now that I have you all here, you all can walk me through how to properly do this with PlanetScale. I think it's a matter of just like, why is this, welcome to PlanetScale. Show me how PlanetScale works. No, I just want to hit the ground running. So I'm going to call this like vote app. Create a database. And then that's going to do some stuff. How do I get access to my ready to connect? I might have to do this off the stream so you guys don't get my little secrets. You know, honestly, I don't care. I'll just delete this database when I'm done. Here you guys go. Here's my username and password. Since this is for educational purposes, where's Node? I think what I could do, I know you guys could potentially just connect to this database right now if you have the credentials, and I'm fine with that, whatever. Don't put anything bad, please. I'll say .env.production. Actually, I'm gonna call this prod. Now, obviously, you don't want to have this stuff like laying around in your local repo. Let me get rid of, why is prod showing up here? I have it, let me just comment that out real quick. So for the prod environment, we're not going to have Discord. We're just going to copy this real quick. We're going to put this right here. And I think what I could potentially do is I want to run my migrate push to PlanetScale. And in order to do that, I think there's a way to like say npx prisma migrate, or is it db push? I think I want to use db push, but then it's not going to read the .prod file. I think it's going to read like my .env. So you guys can correct me. I'm still a noob at this some of the stuff, but if I just do this and I do a db push, I think that'll set up my schema in my PlanetScale app. Maybe. Let's just try it and see what happens. You must start with the protocol PostgreSQL or Postgres. Oh no, they don't use, PlanetScale doesn't use Postgres, they use MySQL. Isn't that great? How does that affect what I'm doing? Does it affect what I'm doing? Okay. You need to install PlanetScale CLI. Oh, there's a Prisma field? Oh yeah, there's a Prisma field. Okay, I copied the wrong one. The password looks like it's also commented out, so let's try that. Is this gonna work? Foreign key constraints not allowed, so I think this is why I just want to use Postgres and not PlanetScale. Like, It'd be so much nicer if I could just spin up a Railway database and then just like get it deployed. But I don't think you can use Cascades or something. Could be wrong with that. Okay. Go to the Prisma config again, and we need to set provider MySQL URL is database URL relation mode is equal to Prisma. Okay. I guess I didn't need to. Did I need to delete that on Cascade stuff, or could I have left that in? No foreign keys are used, so relation fields will not benefit from this. This can lead to performance with querying within those fields. Is that saying like I could just get rid of this completely? I guess it's just warning me. Okay, anyway, so it pushed my data up, I hope. I don't really know. I mean, it probably would have created my tables and stuff. Because I have 8 tables and I have 1 branch. So now what I should be able to do is I should be able to, if I were to like restart my local environment, that should connect to the actual like remote. I don't know if Prisma Studio can connect to that using the same thing, can it? Let's go to make a new poll. Right now, this should be connecting to my local, I mean, my PlanetScale database, I think, right? Do you like, let's see, when I live stream? And I'll save that. Let's go to answers. And let's add one. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely taking some time to do stuff, so I do think it is connecting to PlanetScale. I'll say yes. And I will say, what am I doing? No. Save it. Okay, so now I should be able to go back to the poll, get that ID. Locally, I have like a Frankenstein setup going on right now. I have like my local T3. Oh no, what happened here? Did I not put yes there? I did not put yes. I also didn't put a prompt, or I thought I did. Do you like my live streams? Question mark. Save the changes. Okay. So now I should be able to submit this. And that all works. Okay, so I mean, it wasn't too hard to get PlanetScale set up. But there's some additional configuration you got to kind of keep in mind. Click on Quick Fix and do the thing they say. Add an index for the relationship. Well, the Quick Fix doesn't do anything for me, so. Oh, that one did it. Let's see. Some of these do not get fixed. I don't know. Okay. So I guess the last step I want to do is I want to try to get this deployed to somewhere and then like give you a link. I'm just going to use Amplify because I can't set up Railway right now. I guess I could also try using Vercel, I guess. I guess I could do Vercel. How do I do this? Add a new project. I want to import T3 poll app, I guess. I had to probably give access to this. Do. Let's import this. Let's go ahead and add some environment variables. I think I need to add database URL here. This, and then I need to put in that full URL. Is there anything else that I need? Next auth URL. Let me npm run build because I know like a lot of the times I'm trying to do stuff and deploy it, like I get tons of errors. Failed to load next config.js. Invalid environment variables. Next auth secret. Okay, so I have to put a secret here. And they're saying I could just do this. Here's my secret, y'all. Although I'm not using any auth anyway, so it's like I'm just setting this so it can build. I want to make sure I can get a complete build going in my terminal before I push all this stuff to Vercel, and I have to like wait for it to build and stuff. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, so let's go back to here. This thing, I think I need a next auth secret, so I'm going to add another one. That might be all I need. Is there any file changes that I have locally that I need to commit? Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. Let's go ahead and just like, we're using MySQL now. We're using the migration. I don't think we even need to commit anymore. We got the poll. Yeah, let's just say showing results. Show the results from the votes. There, I did the imperative thing. That one's for you, Anon. All right, so pushed to the repo. Hopefully it's all good. Let's just deploy this out. I'll click the deploy button. Hopefully it passes. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. What's a pogger? Yeah, what does pog mean? Someone neat asks, have I worked with drag and drop libraries before? I have not. Urban Dictionary tells me that pog means like awesome. What a bunch of nerds. I'm a nerd too, but I don't really follow along with Discord client ID. Okay, well, we're not using Discord. I mean, we can just delete this from like the environment stuff because like, why do we have it if we're not using it, right? Don't need that one. Yeah, we don't need this. I'll delete that stuff. Cool. And then here, I'll delete that as well. Delete all that stuff. It's going to break everything. I hope not. Remove Discord. Ugh. Sorry, have to keep repositioning in this chair, man. All right, so this is going to be one of those things where you make a change, you push it, you wait 2 minutes, you make a change, you push it, you wait 2 minutes until 20 minutes have passed and you finally get it working. Building. PlanetScale is just a database as a service. So basically they'll create you a MySQL database that I think will auto scale for you behind the scenes, which is why they picked MySQL, because I think MySQL has much better like clustering support than other databases. I know. I've spent the full 8 hours just trying to get stuff to run in my CI/CD pipeline at work. Like you'll make Terraform changes, you'll get them deployed, you'll go and run through the whole test process, and they fail after 20 minutes, and you keep doing that over and over and over again. I think PlanetScale has like a free tier. Oh, it says ready. Look at that. Second time's the charm. Let's go and see if I give you guys a poll. It'd be cool to have WebSocket set up on this, but honestly, I don't have time. I'm going to probably drop after this. Let's see. If I go to this, does it load? If I paste this in my chat, can you guys go here and actually like vote? And like for right now, if you want to refresh, just click off the tab and go back and you'll see the answers pop up. Wow, what a community. Not a single. Oh, we got to know. I got to know who to ban now. I'm just playing. Yeah, so let me go back to the chat real quick. Nice how this is working. Bro, why is there so many? Why does this thing take so long to read? Let me just refresh the page. How about that? All right, Daria, who voted no, because I used a div instead of using like a form input properly. Let's see. I haven't tried Supabase before, but people say it's cool. I'm a simp. I make stream. Daria presses yes. Oh, we got. Yeah, it'd be cool to actually like have this set up with WebSockets or just like some type of refresh interval, just so you can see the votes come in live. We could try adding that. I see I've been streaming for an hour, 40 minutes. I'm not going to go down the whole WebSocket path because obviously that's going to be a lot of extra work. But if we were to go to like the polls, I could just add a little interval inside of a use effect. How's that sound? And then maybe some cool styling. Like if I go to, do I have this running locally anymore? Here we go. I don't think I have it running. Yeah, it refetches on window focus, so you can just like click off the tab and go back. But it'd be cool if you could actually see the responses come in live, which maybe a 5-second interval might be nice. So like on mount, let's just go ahead and say like const interval equals set interval. And we're going to run some code every 5 seconds. And then we're going to clear the interval. Oh, React Query has a refetch. Hold on. Do they have a like a poll refetch? That'd be cool. So here, they're like a refetch interval. Oh wow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about all these things. But then I should be able to refetch every 5 seconds. Let's see. Yep, that's working. Cool. So yeah, maybe we can style this and like make this look nice. So for the LIs, like maybe we could do some type of like percentage. I don't know how hard this is going to be. Total responses, I'm going to go ahead and say like poll dot answers dot underscore count dot responses. I'd have to basically do some type of like reduce. Is this right? Responses. Responses. I don't know why this is not working. Let's just set this to 0 by default. Why is this not being found? All right, let me retype this. I think I'm messing this up. Answer, and then we're going to say answer.count.responses. Yeah, I think it just had like a syntax there. So anyway, we got the total amount of responses. Hopefully this works fine. And we just need to like make a ratio on the LIs for like the size of the background color, or the width of it or something. I don't know how to do this. Let's see, width. We're using Tailwind, so I might just use an inline style, honestly. So we can say class name, we can say BG gray of 500. Let's make sure this actually shows something. And then we could, on the UL itself, I'm going to say flex column gap of 2. Okay. And then we're going to make a ratio here, which you guys can probably tell me a better way to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and say like width is the total responses I'll make a function so this isn't so hacky. I'll say like function get width, and I'll say count, and then we'll return the count divided by the total responses times by like 400. I'll just default that to 1 so it doesn't like divide by something super hacky, whatever. I just want to get this pushed up so you guys can see this. So we're going to go ahead and just pass in this plus pixels. How about that? Okay. Uh-oh, what's this complaining about? This is a number. Operation must be, yeah, let me just interpolate this. I don't know if TypeScript likes the way I'm doing that. It kind of works, but not really. I think maybe we should actually have this thing be some type of like, if I pull that out there and I give this a class of absolute and give this thing a class of relative, and give it a height of 12. Width of 20 pixels. Oh, and then get rid of, let's move the background off of this and put it onto this. Maybe give it a top. At this point, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'll just say top is 0. What is this going to do? Z index. Move this above the text. wfit with some padding should do it. What about 400 total responses divided by what? How about I put this underneath? Get rid of the absolute stuff. Get rid of the relative stuff. And you know, the more I code in the front end, the more I realize I hate CSS and styling and stuff. I'll be honest. Okay, so that looks okay. Let me commit this and we'll try one more poll. I'm adding some, you know, I'll make this smaller. I'll make this like a 6. There. Adding some, add indicator on vote using BG color. All right, so this should deploy within a couple of minutes. I just pushed, and what we could do is make another poll. And I'm going to go ahead. Go to Prisma. I'm going to make another poll. Which should I make the poll on? Doesn't really matter, right? Which meta framework do you like? Save that. Okay, is my Prisma Studio still running? I don't know. Probably not. There, save that, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a record. I'm going to say next. You'll say next here, and then we'll add it to this. And we'll add this one. And we'll say Astro. Add another record. And we'll say remix. There, let's just do 3 options. And then while this is deploying, we should have the ID here. Uh-oh, what did I do? Why did it not save the things? Remix. Astro. I probably had to unfocus it. Remix, Astro. Yeah, there's one I'm missing. That's probably this one. I'll just select next. Here we go. All right, y'all just go to that link, go ahead and vote real quick, and we should hopefully see this stuff update every 5 seconds. Oh, local. Guys, it'll work. Just go to it. I promise. It'll work. Just click the link. And then clone my repo and then set up your .env file. What was the other link though? Bro, I'm feeling more like a boomer every day. Like, I'm not even that old too. How do you get the link to my thing? deploy branches inside console backup settings. Like, deploy requests? It doesn't help that I'm on PlanetScale. I need to go to the actual in my life. All right, let's go back to, I probably closed it. I need to go to Vercel, not PlanetScale. And I need to go to my app. Okay, it's right here. I can copy this and go to polls and then go to the one I just set up. All right, try that one. So as people vote, we should hopefully see these change. Every 5 seconds, it does a refresh. Cool. I know, it's like all these dark mode sites just literally look the same to me. But yeah, there you have it. So got an entire full stack application built up using the T3 stack, deployed using Vercel, PlanetScale, and basically copied exactly what Theo did in his video like 7 months ago. But I just wanted to think about building something cool today, and I always think that's something cool to build. Yeah, some transitions, that'd be cool too. Just find some existing like progress bar component. But that's all I wanted to do today. I'm gonna go ahead and now delete some things so that you guys don't have access to my PlanetScale database. I do believe I leaked a bunch of keys in this stream. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here and let's see if we can figure out a way to delete passwords. Is this it? Is this the connection string that I was using before? So let's see if I delete that, what happens? I'm guessing this thing should just start breaking. Yep. So now you guys can't use it. Anyway, if you guys liked watching this little stream, be sure to like, leave a comment because it helps my channel grow. I have a Discord if you want to talk to me or just find a place to get help from some other developers who are willing to help you out. Yeah, you should press the bell icon so you see when I go live on my streams. What else? What's the other marketing stuff I say? Oh, I got some newsletter that you can subscribe to, which I probably will not send out any emails this week because I'm too lazy to write one. Other than that, yeah, stay tuned next Sunday. I try to stream on Sundays if I have time. I did a stream later today than usual, but anyway, thanks for joining, y'all. Hope you guys had fun.